Hi, so welcome back to Tracking Net Worth with Jappie. I decided to jump to right now because making all these videos is taking a bit too much time and, they're not doing great. So I just want to make recordings for myself and I don't, I'm just gonna skip them for now. Anyway, the major things happening in my life is that I changed jobs in the last 1.5 years that I didn't cover. I now work for Converge, moving away from Superseed, and the reason I changed is because I kind of felt the pinch of all these debts encroaching on me. So we already covered a little bit that I opened a debt, and I opened another debt, and I opened another debt, and yeah, I just needed to increase my income, and switching jobs was a great way of doing that temporarily. So another big thing is that I finished the second room for rent in my house. So what happened is that I moved to the attic and I sleep there now. So the attic used to be unlivable, but it has been fully insulated now. It has been blanked and there's a floor in it, and I moved the bed up there. So with all that stuff in place, I now have an extra room available. And I'm renting that out as well. I still don't have a partner actually, so that hasn't been solved. For a while I was seeing someone, however and this is why I'm less anxious about getting a partner. I had a wonderful relationship with a woman for a bit, and yeah, unfortunately we broke up and she went back to Poland. But yeah. So hopefully I'll be doing less crazy shit moving forward, but I hope to make these recordings every month. It shouldn't be as much work. It takes me 20 minutes or something to make one of these recordings, but I had to do 6, which ends up being 2 hours. Yeah, and I don't have 2 hours because I want to go to Zurich today or tomorrow, and I need it back. So yeah, the cash. So apparently I have 0 cash right now. I got €2.50 in Aruban currency. I still got the dollars. So apparently I didn't spend the dollars and just kept that same thing. My checking account was €3,107. My checking account on N26 was €15,000. So this has moved up a little bit. I increased the size of my checking accounts. So I have more cash on hand these days. For good reasons. My expenses have moved up, so I essentially hired someone to help me out with side projects such as MassApp, the application I made for the specialists, and I hope to essentially prepare it so I can sell it. That's something I've been busy with in the last month or two. Last month actually, very intensely with that. Because of the higher income, I can do this. So I'm just essentially hiring someone else to implement stuff for me, so I don't burn out working on that as well. And then the checking account on CMB. So this is actually the Aruban bank I have. So one story I didn't tell in the previous balance sheet is that I managed to open a bank account in Aruba, which was extremely difficult. It took me ages. It was easier to buy the house than to open the bank account. It was so difficult. And that's expensive as well. It's €50 a month or something. No, €25 a month. But yeah. Then I have 35,000 in my savings account. And the reason I have 35,000 in my savings account is because I got 10K emergency fund. So I really increased the amount of money I have on hand. I learned from my little adventure with buying the house that I really am a lot happier if I just have cash on hand. And so the first thing I did after quitting Superseed and getting this new job is build up my emergency fund. So the accounts receivable is 0, that's good, and nothing in flight. I have this now as well. This is a proper pension account, and I use this to reduce the tax burden I have. Because what happened last year is that they thought, I made the calculations how much tax I should pay, and it ended up being 35,000. And if I would send 10,000 to the pension, then I would have to pay no, if I would send 15,000 to the pension, then I would have to pay 25,000 in tax. So I would reduce my tax burden by about 10,000 by just sending 15,000 to the pension fund, which is what I did because I don't like paying taxes. And eventually I should be able to get this money back once I retire. So it's like in 30 years. Yeah, so I mean, like we may as well see this as being lost money, but I'm still tracking it. I eventually have to pay tax over this as well, but that's gonna be once I'm retired. So I have an entry for that as well in the balance sheet. To 30%, I assume about 30% will be weighted on taxes. But yeah, and there's a good reason for that. Like the minimum tax level in Netherlands is 30%. I think actually for retirees it's like 15% first, and then it grows to 30%, but it may change. And then, you know, we got the pension account from Yacht still. This is still being tracked. It just doesn't change a lot, and it's not really that useful. The shares in Superseed. So good news about the shares in Superseed. They're gonna raise money, and it should come in like 2 days, 3 days. How much they raise? It's gonna be 7 million. However, I'm not sure how much the share price will change. They told me it would be about 40%, but it may be more because there was like a lot of interest in the shares. So maybe they managed to negotiate like double or something. I hope that actually, but I still cannot touch this money. So, you know, it may as well not exist, but there you go. Interactive Brokers is 18K. So what happened is that I'm sending money again to Interactive Brokers. And random crap happened here as well. One of the accounts got split because they were not allowed to be one account, and yeah, that's why this column is there. But I don't think it's relevant anymore. I can just hide it. Hide column. There you go. Yeah. So for a while they split, and the reason is that one of the stocks I held was under sanctions. So they decided to split these accounts. I still have 2 Interactive Brokers accounts, and I don't know how to get rid of the one that's no longer used. But then like some time passed and they decided to lift the sanctions or something. It doesn't matter if it's sanctions or not for me, right? Because I cannot trade Interactive Broker shares from Russia anyway. So, you know, most of that money may as well not exist. And then there's like, you know, 5,000 euros I sent there as like savings. Yeah, I'll talk about the savings in a bit as well. And the big change is the house. The house went up drastically. It went up in 2023, like by 60,000 or something, 50,000. And then it went again up this year, and it's probably going to go up again next year, looking at the tea leaves. So yeah, this house purchase has been amazing for me. Okay, so this greening, so vergroening, this column is about the fact that I insulated the house. I opened another loan. I have too many loans, but I opened another loan to make my house greener and to reduce my to reduce my fixed cost on like gas. That's why I did that. But the advantage of this loan is that it's 0%. What I did is the amount of money I spent, I cut again in half, and then I put this on my balance sheet because it shouldn't be included in this calculation because I have a bad energy label. So yeah, they didn't account for that. Then, you know, we got the house in Aruba, which is, I mean, this is gonna be taxed once every 5 years. So it will be a couple of years until we see how much my improvements actually did to it. But yeah, we're just like keeping it at the same amount in florins, even though I think this is also going up in value. I'm not sure how much though. It's kind of hard to assess. I can no longer find houses for the price range I bought it. So that's like kind of good signal that I may have had some good aspects of the deal, but I don't like the debt I got myself into. Yeah, and the student debts are also slowly creeping up now. This is because the interest rate the government is paying is increasing, and fortunately, they only increase the interest rates once every 5 years. So they increased it at like 2.5%, but I think at this moment the government is paying like 2 or 3% on interest. And at 2 or 3%, I'm gonna get like a little bit concerned. It's still good though. Like it's still good to hold on to at 2%, I suppose, if it's the same as inflation. But there you go. Deferred income. tax. So this is the amount of tax I probably have to pay this year. I'm like I said, I'm getting better at dealing with taxes. It's no longer like running up upon me, and I'm taking account every quarter how much I expect to pay in tax. This is gonna get a lot higher for next year. So once I get the tax bill for this, I probably should increase this a lot, because I expect my income tax to be around 40k next year. In a good scenario, in a bad scenario, around 50k. Maybe I can reduce it again with like sending money to pension fund. I have to see. But yeah, like I said, like the taxing is really hurting at this moment, because I had these like taxes I paid in January from 2022, and then now I have to pay taxes for 2023, and yeah, next year I have to pay taxes again. But it's like a year away, more than a year away. So that's kind of good, but yeah, I also have to keep up with the debt payments, so all of that is kind of difficult. So okay, the mortgage is slowly whittling away, which is good. So it's at 155 now. You know, meanwhile the house has increased a lot in value. But yeah, the debt. So I've managed to pay down 17,000 of the first mortgage, and then I also managed to pay down 3,000 of the second one. And these are like the agreed upon payments I'm making. However, I've been thinking about this, and I have some money on interactive brokers, and I'm considering taking out these debts one by one, just like by settling with my father, saying like, okay, I have the 13,000 I owe you still here. Do you want to like cancel the debts right now? This will save me interest payments, and also it will save me monthly payments, so it would just like instantly increase my situation. Yeah, because before I was thinking like, okay, if I do that, then I'll reduce their income and they'll have an issue. However, I think I should just like focus on myself first and not like be so generous. Because, you know, if they get that 13, for example, if I pay off the 13,000 euro in debt in one go, then they can use that money again to borrow to someone else, for example, in the stock market. I already looked it up, and the corporate bonds are trading at like 3%. Like that's what I put the money in, corporate bonds, and they're at 3.5%. But you know, why would I lose out on 1.5%? Like let them figure out. You know, they can buy junk bonds as well, or you know, invest in dollar assets which have much higher interest than euro. I cannot do any of these things because I'm so riddled with debt at this moment, and it's high yield debt as well, so it's all like 5%. It's not like the mortgage, you know, it's like 1.17%. So I think my next financial goal will be to eliminate these one by one. So I'll take out the 13,000 one first, and then 42,000, probably this month actually. I'll call my father about it, and then I'll start saving up to take out the 42,000. Hopefully I can get it out of the way this year. I'm not sure, because if I have to send money as well to the retirement account, then yeah, it's gonna be difficult. And then this debt, which is another 0% debt. So what happened is I hadn't paid my income tax yet for 2022. I knew it would be high. So I mean, I knew my income would be high. It would be. It ended up being like 100k of taxable income. However, if they would have known about that at the time, that I made so much money, then they probably wouldn't have agreed to the 0% loan. But for lower income people, they allow you to borrow at the 0% rate, because they want to essentially encourage insulation of houses and reducing the amount of gas being used in the country. So yeah, I got like a really good loan again. So this one I want to like keep as long as possible. This one I want to get rid of. These ones I want to get rid of as fast as possible because they're so expensive. Oh, yeah, you got these temporary loans. I'm just using these temporary loans. I think once I got for a month because I needed to cross a month and I didn't have enough money. And another one is for the solar panels. They weren't installed yet, and I just like using that to balance the books. They didn't want to pay me. Anyway, credit card. Oh, right, about the credit card. So I'm not actually using credit card turning over the month. Every month it's being paid back from my checking account, so this is essentially zero. But I'm using the credit card because I get insurance on the stuff I order. So it's essentially you know, I can choose to pay directly out of my checking account, which is what most Dutch people do, or I can use my credit card and get insurance for free, because this automatically gets paid off at the end of the month. And I always have like enough money to pay this back, right? Because it's only like, you know, usually it's below 1,000 euros, and I have like 5,000-6,000 euros just laying around in my checking account for emergency. But that's usually like being cleared out. Anyway, if we look at the balance sheet, my assets are 630,000, so that's a lot of assets. It's actually more than 500,000 at this point. That's a lot. And my liabilities are 326,000. The important part here is that my liabilities are going down, and my net worth ends up being 303,000. And yeah, so my net worth only increased by 5,500 this month, which is not so good. But we had like some really good quarters here, right? And some of these are just like, I think the really good ones are from house value increases usually. Yeah. Okay, so other stuff I want to discuss is all these numbers. So this is an interesting number where we take into account the net worth without housing. So it's like essentially sort of like cash money, and we just like reduce the home equity from it, and we can see that actually I didn't save up that much at all. It's mostly yeah, like I mentioned things as well in the spreadsheet, but I don't think I'm ready to buy a house, another house now. Anyway, high yield debt. This is my issue. I wanna get this to 0. I think first, because it's five. Like I said before, it's like 5,000 euro per month or per year, and it's a waste to keep this around. Like, yeah, I think if I manage to pay this off in like the next year or 2 years, then I'd be, because like then the amount of money I make from the house in Aruba is around 1,500 euros a month, plus the income from Airbnb in my own house is you know, around 1,000. Then I'm essentially financially independent once I clear this. So I think this should be my primary goal, and not buying another house. Because currently I'm actually cash flow negative on this because the payments are so high. Like, you know, the fact that the payments are high is good because it quickly reduces interest. But if I pay even more, then I can just get rid of the payments altogether. And I think I should focus on that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you like the video, and please subscribe to the channel. And see you all next month probably.